You cannot. I guess Will. You that Deftones was your choice.
Yeah, well, I guess one album I do actually feel very strongly positively about from this year is American Dawn by Don Caballero. Their last great album, probably their last good album too. Uh, just a really good summer album. I don't know if y'all have heard it lately, but it's been
I've never.
on loop a lot for me this summer. They just have a really good way of evoking like humidity that I don't feel like you really get ever from math rock. And I really find them an enjoyable listen. This album in particular is great, and it inspired one of the all-time greatest pieces of music journalism, which is a guy who wrote about Don Caballero's breakup. I will have to find it for you all. It's like a 15-page magazine article that slowly gets more and more insane.
I feel like I've heard about the article. I've never listened to Don Caballero, and I can't say. Yeah. But I feel like I heard about that article, though, actually.
Yeah, the article is nuts.
Like it was something that was famous. So.
Yeah, I've never listened to this album, but looking at the page for it right now, first of all, it has a very interesting look at Ghost review, so I'm already intrigued. Second of all, it seems like something I should like. It seems like something that's right up my alley, so I'll definitely have to check it out ASAP because it is consistently soup up here in like 90-degree humidity weather. So hopefully, if it invokes humidity, because apparently, at least where I am, just about 45 minutes from Manhattan, like we are currently living in a haze. And it's just like it only breaks every once in a while with a thunderstorm. That's been the whole week. So it's pretty rough.
We've been slowly baking here too, and the rain that happens doesn't cool anything off.
No, it almost seems hotter when the rain's done. It's like, okay, thanks.
This is just Tennessee from like May to October. It's not great.
That sounds rough. Except the only difference now is that when it rains, it's merciful because hopefully people won't go outside with no masks now.
Yes.
You're fucking funny. God damn. Yo, Kel got jokes.
I got jokes. I got jokes. Let me tell you, I got jokes because jokes on me actually because I can't go anywhere that isn't around my own neighborhood because my brother is very at risk if anyone gets COVID. So basically, bars me from going in any establishment. So
nothing should be open right now because are we trying to hit 1 million by the end of the year? Like we're gonna hit 500,000 by August at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, we're trying to hit. This is like a rapper trying to get more streams. Like we're trying to get as many cases.
Yeah, we are SoundCloud bombing COVID deaths at this point. Like Donald Trump is a SoundCloud rapper, fucking spamming his streams.
We're putting the big single from our first album on the third album. Just to get more as a bonus track, just to get more streams.
I would love for somebody to explain SoundCloud to Donald Trump.
Just as that would be
one of the great joys of my life. Is if he hires like some 21-year-old horrifying college Republicans intern, and is like, explain Blogspot to me, explain SoundCloud.
Yeah. Do you think Jacob Wohl could explain SoundCloud to Donald Trump?
Oh God, yes. I think he's into it.
Jacob Wohl listening to like, just I don't even know what Jacob Wohl's like, library would be listening to. I can't even imagine what he would listen to, honestly. Like I don't know where you start with that. He's the guy that listens to like all the really shitty like wannabe trap EDM producers who are still stuck in like 2014 on SoundCloud, and they're just like
Jacob Wohl probably listens to the Diplo Country album.
Yeah.
Whereas like Jared Kushner is listening to chill lo-fi hip-hop beats to study to.
Yeah, exactly. He's listening to anime beats, but the problem is like he's not even listening to like the OG anime beats channel. He's listening to like a knockoff version. Like the originator of this shit I forget the name of the channel, but he's listening to like the third generation of it. You know,
Jared Cook listening to Algorithm Lo-Fi Beats to Study to while he tries to study to beat Henry Kissinger 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. Jared Kushner definitely listens to algorithm music, literally like algorithms. Like he just listens to the programming.
God, everything is great right now.
Everything's great. Everything's great.
That will be one of the best forgotten moments of this whole thing is when things are starting to go crazy, like the NBA shut down or whatever, and I swear Don came out and was like, Jared's working on it. And that was like his whole update that day.
Great. Fucking great.
Jared's got it.
Jared's studying.
Jared's also going to tell us how we can further cooperate with the authorities. We're gonna also tell the authorities to make sure to not wink use excessive force on any protesters.
No more than 5 minutes behind the neck anymore. No more than 5 minutes.
No more than 5 minutes. All right.
He goes off the neck at 5:01.
Right. You can choke them to death, but for not longer than 5 minutes. You know, we have moral standards here.
Yes. Also, the last thing I would like to note about the last, I don't know, forever of life is the amazing Galaxy Brain moment in the whole 8 Can't Wait thing where they say an officer must tell you that he is shooting you before he shoots you, which is absolutely one of the best ideas I've ever heard. I'm so thankful for my woke officer saying, I am going to shoot you before indeed shooting me in the leg.
You don't think that...
You're fucking lucky if he shoots you in the leg.
Yeah, no, that's what's going to happen under President Biden. That will be, now they can just shoot me in the leg instead of in the face.
Right.
Welcome back to episode 2 of Biden Boys. We're going to talk about Joe Biden, police policies, where he will just cripple you, not end your life.
Not end your life. Because as we know, the ideal version of neoliberalism is just crippling you just enough that you're still alive, but your life is just ruined for as long as you live until you die, and inevitably the life of your kids is also ruined.
Joe Biden is a good 2000 music person in my head. It's because the way we're looking at some of the, especially with what was so popular at the time, is the charts look just as hopeless then as they do now.
But instead of the charts, it's Joe Biden and Tom Perez.
Yes.
Oh God, Joe Biden and Tom Perez really just Nancy Pelosi in the background, listening to Nancy Pelosi really bumping the new DaBaby record on repeat. So, gosh, great stuff all around. Great
I need to be happy again. Let's get back to 2010 music.
Well, I guess in terms of the 2000 stuff, there's. I don't remember much about this, but Boris put out a really good album that year.
Yeah, there's nothing about it except for it's like one of the best loud albums you've ever heard. Like, there's really no discussion. It's like it gets quiet, and then it gets louder, and then it gets louder, and it gets fucking really loud, and it's the best shit you've ever heard. So that's that Boris album. You should listen to it. It's great at doing that. A.V. Terror and Panda Bear, Spirit They've Gone, Spirit They Vanished is an Animal Collective album that no one likes, really, because it's so noisy, but I really like it. It's one of their better early ones.
I like it, but I don't like it as much as stuff that would come after. It's one of those things that
I like it better than Tongue Songs or whatever the fuck that's called, or Strawberry Jam.
I don't know. I fuck with Strawberry Jam still.
I like the singles off Strawberry Jam a lot, like the EPs that were around it, but not the album so much. But I think this is the best like noise thing they did early, actually.
I mean, first of all,
year though, I think it's a little more Wham inflated.
I think at some point soon we're gonna sometime hopefully in the next by the end of the year we'll do an Animal Collective episode, and I already I have the perfect person in mind for it for as a guest, but I don't know. I think for me, I always prefer Animal Collective when they were doing like the psych pop thing.
There's psych on here. It's just not so poppy. It's noisy, but I don't know. It's I love the last 2 tracks on here. I love Alvin Rowe, and this has Alvin Rowe on it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Alvin Rowe's a classic. Yeah, it's a great song.
And I really love the way it starts. I love the way it ends. I think it's formless and noisy, but in a way that it appeals to me more than Dance Manatee too, in terms of this.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't know. I like it better than fuck. I mean, you want a hot take? I like this better than the acclaimed Panda album. I like it better than Feels.
You like it better than Person Pitch?
Person Pitch.
Well, Feels is an Animal Collective. Yeah.
I also like it better than that too.
Wow.
So, better than Person Pitch.
That is a hot take. I like the spice level.
The hot takes are pretty high on this show. We completely, full disclosure, I mean, I haven't listened to the Godspeed record in forever, but I remember loving it. But we just completely said fuck you to the Godspeed album. We skipped over. It's just like a huge album.
Great, it's great. I just have nothing to say. It's like, yeah, it's a really good post-rock album.
Yeah. It inspired explosions in the sky, which I guess is, that's the negative legacy.
Let's not hold that it. But
I think Storm is the best.
You want a spice take? I like the second Red Sparrows album better than that.
Wow, we're getting spicy.
They think better than everything Godspeed did.
We are getting spicy. Yeah, I think this is Godspeed's best project. I think Storm is the best post rock song. I think it's the ideal. Like, when I think of post rock, that's the song that I think of first. So yeah, I don't know. I agree. Storm and Sleep, like they were really powerful.
Sleep is my favorite.
There are very moving passages on this record. Maybe not as moving as some of the people who list it as one of their favorite records feel about it, but I would still rate this the highest of their works. I think it's a classic and an important album, even if I don't love it as much as some of the 5-star reviews. I think I still would give it a 4.5. I still think it's a great and important record. But like you, Patrick, I guess I don't have that much to say about it because it's post rock. The best post rock moves you, and the bland post rock doesn't move you. And those are my takes about post rock.
Yeah, I think it's a good album. I've always been a little surprised at how I guess well known of an album that says it seems like it has a massive reputation online for, like you said, a post-rock album, and post-rock albums typically don't seem to get that level of fanfare. For this to achieve that is quite remarkable to me, even though, it's a good album. I probably haven't listened to it start to finish in 4 or 5 years. It's just not one I really think about often. Godspeed in general, not really a band I think about often, because, I kind of have to be in a very specific mood to want to hear that music.
Oh, for sure.
Very much. Very slow moving, I don't know. And when I think post rock at this point, I want something that offers a little more than, Godspeed paints in primary colors. They do it better than anybody, but they paint in very broad strokes very slowly. With post rock, I want something like Do Say Make Think, where it's doing a lot more, or the Jimmy Cake, where it's coming at it from a different angle, or Isis, where they had made 2 post-rock albums that get tagged as metal, but they're pretty much post-rock, where it's got the vocal element to it at least. So, I really appreciate what Godspeed does without ever needing to hear the Godspeed album again.
Yeah.
I think you could say Talk is like Laughing Stock is the best post-rock album, I think.
That or Spirit of Eden. I would say both are about equal in my head.
Yeah, but either one. I mean, I think Spiderland is amazing still. I still listen to that. That's still one of my favorite rock records of the 90s. So I'll listen to that. But I don't know if that's it's not really explicitly post rock. It's a bunch of different stuff.
It is also a very funny genre name to me, post rock.
Yeah, it's very silly. It's so serious. Also, God bless you for not mentioning Loveless.
well, Loveless isn't post rock,
but it comes up in the discussion eventually, depending on who you talk to.
Oh, I always thought of it as shoegaze and nothing
Well, it
else.
is shoegaze, but people think it's like post-rock influential for people who think post-rock.
Oh, okay. I got you. I've clearly, I mean, look, I've been on the forums a lot. I guess I haven't been on the forums that much, but I haven't been on the forums for years, so I might have missed the pedantic.
The Beatles invented reggae, and my blood.
Yeah. Although you would not catch me saying a bad word about Loveless, which you would hate, so we're going to move on from that topic.
You'll go who inherit, and nothing turned itself inside out.
Yeah. Amazing album.
Good album.
Yeah. The album cover sums up the album.
Yes.
One of the best. I love the first three track. First five, but the first three especially. The first three are some of the best songs they've ever written, perfect, like ever. First five is like amazing, like just an amazing run. But the first three are in their like top 10, I think. Every day, the fucking drum beat on that is such a good intro. That is such a perfect intro to an album.
Yeah, it just gives you, it evokes that like wispy, like suburban nighttime feel. Like just the whole album does, but especially the way it kicks off. Like it's so nocturnal and has like a melancholy about it that's like natural.
Yeah. I like this album. I actually was glad you singled out the first three tracks, really. Saturday is kind of underrated in the Yo La Tengo canon, I feel. I've always really loved that song. I actually like Summer Sun, the follow-up, a little bit more than this one, and actually think the cover of this would be more apt for that. But I like this album. It's really hard, if you at least vibe with Yo La Tengo's overall shtick, it's really hard to not at least like, I'd say, half of this album somewhat.
There's a rambling quality to it that happens in Yo La Tengo albums where you feel like they don't have something to say cohesively throughout the whole project, where they just like being around each other. And you get the sense that a lot of Yo La Tengo albums are just like conversation pieces between the band, and sometimes they stumble upon like a Every Day or a Saturday or a Cherry Chapstick where they have a really, really strong driving song. And then they do something like that's why they do so many concept albums, I think, where it's like to structure themselves to like actually focus on a song. But they just like just being together and jamming. But they're not a jam band.
No, but I think to both your points, like I feel like it has that. I mean, it's 77 minutes, so it has that rambling quality, but I think it also has that quality where you can just like kind of sit back and listen and get lost in it in a good way. You know, in a way where you might not remember everything about it on like first listen or whatever, but parts of it will stick with you, and you can kind of peel back the layers of it more and more. I think it's my third favorite Yo La Tengo. I mean, I love this album, but Painful and especially I Can Hear the Heart Beating as one. Those are definitely important records to me, and just like my 90s indie rock deep dive back in the day. So yeah, Yo La Tengo in general as a band, and also I think one of the most consistent bands in indie rock as we've gotten into the now done with the 2010s. Like they were putting out good records in the 2010s, and not many indie rock bands that were putting out good records in the 90s were doing that. So,
well, to your point about it being the length that it is, 77 minutes, 15 seconds, the last track is 17 minutes, 41 seconds. So that takes up a good chunk of it. It's an hour-long album with a second piece that acts as the outro. And I think that acts as like, it gives me the same sort of feeling over an extended period of time that Kanye's Wolves does about like all the lights going out in the neighborhood. And that's what I think of when I get the cover, is like you look at Hoboken and you see all the lights going out in the houses. Night falls on Hoboken as like there's the blue sunset. I feel like that evokes that perfectly. You talk about it being evocative, that's the most evocative piece on here.
mm-hmm.
And I think George's vocals are incredibly evocative. I go back and forth. I mean, I Can Feel the Heart Beating is my number one Yo La Tengo album, period. But everything else fights for second through fifth. Summer Sun is great. I think stuff like that their covers album is really underrated. This is incredible. I'm Not Afraid of You and I Can Beat Your Ass has some of the best guitar work I ever did. If you like the really guitar-heavy Modest Mouse stuff, like Other People's Lives, that's an album to look for, actually, to tie it back to the Modest Mouse discussion. Because we didn't really talk about the guitar stuff in Modest Mouse, actually, and how good of a guitar player Isaac was. But,
oh, yeah. Well, if you actually... I watched it years ago, but I rewatched it last week. There's a Lonesome Crowded West documentary done by Pitchfork.
Oh, that's fucking great.
Yeah, it was a great doc, and Isaac was talking about how he used to feel uncomfortable singing without playing guitar, and I think that was like he always said that he felt more comfortable writing songs and like singing and with doing whatever he was doing when he had a guitar in his hand. So I just like kind of sums up without explicitly saying it like how good of a player he was, because he was always around a guitar and always using it and constantly improving.
I think that's kind of why We Were Already Dead is such a strong album. I mean, don't hijack this and turn it back into a Modest Mouse discussion, because he has Johnny Marr around doing really interesting guitar leads. So he can play against that. Like, I really like Boat and Dashboard. I think they're really catchy-ass songs. I guess you got sick of hearing them, but...
Well, no, I mean, I still like those songs. I remember the rest of the album kind of going in one ear out the other for me, which is probably my fault, but I don't know. I'll listen to it again. I never have a problem with listening to the Modest Mouse, unless it's new Modest Mouse.
Well, yeah, new Modest. You don't really need to listen to it again. But yeah, that's really what I have to say about the Yo La Tengo album. I think it's really... It feels also like more than any of their albums, like a couple talking about the dissolution of a marriage, which is weird, because kind of contrasting to this, you have the Sonic Youth albums, which felt like a couple talking about his marriage being stronger than ever. And so, but the songs on it are incredible. I think it's sequenced really well. The way it begins with the first three best pop songs, the first five really just strong songs. Like, oh yeah, George's vocals on Let's Save Tony Orlando's House. Also, beautiful Simpsons reference, by the way. Beautiful Troy McClure reference on that. So, Cherry Chapstick, one of the catchier guitar leads they've ever done. And just some really dub influence on the drumming here, too, I think. There's like really light, tappy drumming on this album that, I don't know, it just kind of helps the whole atmosphere. It's a very unique album. It's kind of gentle, I think. Like, it's not very assertive, but I really love this album.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say besides like if you like their general aesthetic, you're gonna like this, and that's what I've all got to say. They're a great band. They're still releasing good music, so shout out to them.
Yes, one of the loveliest bands ever.
Really, like they're so hard to not like. So, yeah.
Who was
I don't know who was next actually. I think there's just
list is Queens of the Stone Age rate. We can just keep going through the list until we want to move to 2010. How about that?
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple more notable records, and then it kind of falls off. Like right. I listened to I don't want to do this one, but I listened to like that Granddaddy album the other day for the first time. And I was like, why was this getting okay computer comparisons? Like, I didn't get it. It was okay. It was okay.
Keyboard on the cover, and it like sounded a little like depressed.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't bad.
I like was Crystal Lake on that album? I really like that song. That's like.
Yeah, there was like that album, and I listened to the Broadcast album from that year the other week, and that was a pretty good album.
That has one truly amazing song on it. Come On, Let's Go.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Broadcast outdid themselves though later on. Like, Tender Buttons was the one that was the Broadcast record that I really like. But yeah, that album was good.
I can't decide. Like, I've never listened to enough any of them enough to decide which one I like best. But they're really consistent. So.
Yeah, they are. No, their stuff is all good. It's just like, the one album just hit me more than the other couple that I had listened to a few weeks ago. I mean, the White Stripes that put out an album that year that I heard a lot when I was younger. It wasn't White Blood Cells, but it was the one before that. Yeah.
That's obligatory butchering a word for the podcast, like I always do.
I remember it being pretty good. I remember thinking it was like a solid album.
I'm trying to think what was the single off. I think Death Letter is a good song, and that might be it. I don't know. I don't really remember this one. I went through a period where I listened to all the White Stripes stuff. I think I like the one with Blue Orchid on it the best, honestly. That's like later period Jack White, Led Zeppelin fetishizing stuff, but I think I might like that album the best.
Interesting.
But I don't really have any strong opinions on the White Stripes. I got sick of hearing Fell in Love with a Girl on MTV2 and the radio all the goddamn time at the time, for sure. But I also got sick of hearing Last Night by the Strokes, and I don't hold that against the Strokes.
Right. No, I think the White Stripes were a good band. I don't have like you. I don't have any like insanely strong opinion about them. I would assume that I would take White Blood Cells or Elephant if I had to take one of their records. But I don't think they put out like a straight up bad album. I mean, the Satan one was like, but that was I don't think they like had a straight up like album like, oh, this is trash. Most of their stuff, I was like, yeah, this is good.
The thing about the White Stripes was that I feel like hip hop was getting really popular, so the music press really wanted a rock band to get behind.
Yeah.
And the White Stripes were very gimmicky, so that could be irritating.
Hip hop had already taken over culture by the time they had broken out, so it was like it made sense.
Like if you watched MTV2, it was like Return of Garage Rock. Like that's why like I never really thought about this at the time, but the whole Return of the Rock was like super reactionary. Like nu metal was like reactionary. It was like first of all like white dudes trying to rap, and then it was like garage rock and just like basic rock stuff. It was just like back to basics. Like I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is this making sense?
I can see why. I had never previously thought of that, but actually, it's a good point. Like, you could easily just be like, like I can see why there was this like not counterculture, but just like, make rock music, and,
again.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say it, but keep it alive, because I like some of those records. Like I love the Strokes record, so I'm not gonna lump the Strokes record into.
No, I'm not saying musicians making it necessarily of that, but more so the musical, like the press push, the media push behind, like latching on to that as the next big thing.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I would agree with that. I mean, I guess in terms of like other records that.
You gotta talk about Parachutes because it was all yellow for a while.
Yeah. That was one of the more heartbreaking moments I've experienced was when Boyhood came out. And I had driven to Nashville to see it because I was very excited for it. I like Linklater a lot as a director. And the movie opens with Yellow, and I felt my heart sink. And the movie as itself is fine. I like it all right. But when that played, it was shattering. Well, genuinely one of my more heartbreaking media moments.
I have no strong opinion about that song. I think it's like fine. I don't know. I guess. Well, I mean, and that's not true. I did hear it a lot when I was younger, so I guess I would have a reason to feel averse toward it. But I don't know. I think a lot of this album is very pleasant and like in a way that is partially like some of Coldplay's other stuff, where it's like I just cannot remember it for life of me. Like I know I still remember the tunes on this. Like Don't Panic, I think is a really good song. Obviously. You can just say Radiohead 10 times for the first few songs on this, but like, I mean, they even said they were trying to emulate. So, but yeah, like I like Don't Panic, I like Spies, I like Sparks. Trouble's a good song, even though I'm sure it was played to death. I don't know. I think this is like, I wouldn't be. If people were like, "Oh, like this is a good album," like I agree. It's a pretty good album. Like I don't listen to it, but I have a couple of like, fond memories of some of the tunes on here, so yeah, it's pretty good.
I mean, I got sick of hearing Yellow after a while. I feel like Coldplay did better work later in their career. Trouble's a better lead single. Again, there's a recurring theme in this episode, I feel like, about bad lead singles that got way more popular. And I think Trouble's a better lead single than Yellow. Kind of like Linkin Park had like several singles that were better than
Crawling.
Closer. Or Crawling, for that matter. Like,
yeah.
They're saying Crawling was better than One Step Closer, and in the end was better than Crawling. So, but yeah, I felt like Trouble was way better than Yellow. But Yellow resonated with people. I don't know why. It's just, I guess it was simple. It was kind of like that Norah Jones song the next year. Don't know why, but that was actually a good song. I find that song really appealing. So, like, I feel like they're kind of the same sort of thing in different genres, just kind of like pleasant. And like they both have video. I think I associate them with each other because they both have videos where somebody's walking along a beach, and they were always playing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the song is like, I think Yellow as a song is pretty good. I think it's, I don't know. I think it's like, whenever I listen to songs like that, I kind of have to remove the context of.
You have to remove the nostalgia.
Right, or the context of like, oh, I heard this a million times when I was, in my, like, before I was 12. It's that sort of thing. So I don't know. I think Yellow is still a perfectly good song on its own merits, but at the same time, the lyrics, like, hey, the hook's kind of corny. I like the guitar playing on it. If I remember, I haven't heard the song in years. But yeah, I liked other songs from that album though, like Trouble and like I said, Don't Panic was my favorite Coldplay song, which I think is just I think Don't Panic is a great song. So I have no problem.
I think I'm cutting you off because I want to move on to other shit. So I'm just apologetic.
Hey, cut me off, man. Coldplay's not that interesting.
But real quick, I just want to plug, I think I plugged it before, the Cook and Soul remix of Jay-Z with Coldplay versus Viva La Hova has some beats that were pulled from loops on this album. Better than this album. And next thing on the ROIM list I want to talk about is A Perfect Circle and Mer De Noms, which you wanted hot takes? Better than any Tool album.
I mean, my hot take is it probably wouldn't be that hard to beat any Tool album. So, yeah.
Scorching.
Yeah. Damn, son, where'd you find this Tool album? Yeah, so I actually I've not heard this album.
All right, wow, I thought that was gonna be super hot, but I guess
I mean, well, it might be if I like somehow hate it, but it takes a lot for me to like hate music, so I'll probably enjoy it.
I mean, you wouldn't hate it, or you probably wouldn't have any opinion on it. It was just more that you didn't care about them versus Tool, and also
yeah.
So apparently, like I didn't know what your opinion on Tool was really, but I guess you just don't really care.
No, I think Tool's pretty. I think Tool's pretty mid. I think Lateralis is decent, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I grew up worshiping Anima, then worshiping Lateralis, and really liking Undertow, and thinking Opiate was good but very juvenile. And this does not need to be the Patrick's Opinions About Tool podcast that's going to get us negative views. Views we have way.
Well, I'll put it this way. I hope that this album is also better than the Porcupine Tree album from this year, which isn't bad, but it's just like, it's all right.
A Porcupine, like, you don't, okay, I do take issue with the fact that you would listen to a Porcupine Tree album over Tool, or anything.
It was probably, I listened to the big ones, the ones that have like 1 million ratings on the website when I was younger. You'll be on the charts and you're like, oh, what's this? I've never listened to this album with the light bulb on the cover, or this album with the claymation or the hands over the face, whatever. Yeah.
Thinking.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, no. The only Claymation Tree, Porcupine Tree album I listened to
Claymation
was it had a Arriving Somewhere But Not Here on it. It was from like In Transit, I think it was called. I don't know. I don't like this guy, man. He's boring as fuck. He makes really antiseptic music is the way I think of it. It like feels like it was assembled in a laboratory. It feels very removed from the actual process of making music. That's how I feel about Porcupine Tree and Steven Wilson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have no strong opinions on Porcupine Tree.
Perfect Circle album, and you didn't even hear the fucking Perfect Circle single on the radio, like when you heard Three Doors Down and shit. That was on the radio at the same time. Judith, Perfect Circle.
Oh no, I do not remember it, to be honest.
I think I've heard the song, but I haven't heard it in a while. But I think I've heard that song.
Yeah, that was their most famous song, I think. And then they had a song called Weak and Powerless, which was kind of weak. But anyway,
would you say it was kind of weak and powerless?
It didn't pack a lot of punch. But so we can move on. I'm looking through the list, and now it's getting to be a lot of metal. I don't know. There's Isis, Celestial, which I don't know. You probably haven't heard that. And again, it's like post rock. I don't have a lot to say about it. It'd be a lot of really nitpicky things to say about Isis style. Also, I'd be saying ISIS 1,000 times on the show, which might get us the wrong kind of traffic. So,
yeah, no kidding.
We can move on to 2010 if you guys want.
I just want to say there's one more album. I listened to the Orchid album, Dance Tonight, Revolution Tomorrow, very recently, and that's a great album. You have to be down for the vocals. It's one of those things where, like, if you like screaming, but the songs are very short. It's a 15-minute album. And it kind of feels like one continuous piece that just evolves into multiple different pieces. Kind of in the same way that, like, that Earl Sweatshirt EP, Solace, like, evolves into different... It's like one long song, but it's different songs, too. I feel like this is the same thing, although the changes are a little more drastic. Like, there are actual songs that are differentiated in titles and whatnot. But it feels like akin with, you heard one song on the record, you like one song, you're gonna like all of them. But the best track on the album is probably in the middle, I would say. And I'm trying, and, it's got a very Philosophy 101 title, but at the same time, it's still a great song. And I don't know, I like this album a lot. I didn't expect to be into it as much as I am, but if you kind of like emo and post-hardcore stuff like that, and with a little bit of, like, a little more on, like, the screamo edge, you would like this. So
fuck off. Sorry, there was a guy.
I'm really recommending it to Patrick because I think you should listen to it.
Sorry about the guy on the motorcycle that I yelled fuck off at in the last second. If we're just recommending stuff at the real tail end of it, one more album, Songs Ohio, the Lioness. If Jason Molina was a ridiculously talented songwriter, and he did a ton of work. This is probably it was on the top 100, so I mean, as a recommendation, it's kind of a silly thing to make. I don't think it's like an undiscovered gem or anything, but if you haven't listened to it and you're a fan of stuff like My Morning Jacket, or because he did a split with them actually as Songs Ohio, and just any of the the Lumineers type revival stuff, but good, or just in general like Americana revival stuff, but good. Jason Molina did a ton of shit in the 2000s before he took his own life by choice. So that was a redundant statement. But yeah, the Lioness is kind of Neil Young-y, I guess. If you want to think Ditch Trilogy Neil Young, that's what I get out of it after a few listens. His voice is really rich and tattered on it, and his guitar playing is like, he always was technically good, and this is kind of on the frayed edges of that. So I highly recommend that one.
All right, yeah, sounds good. I mean, I will say the Queens of the Stone Age record from this year is quite good. I haven't listened to it in years, but I remember it being good hooks, good songs, just a really good album from front to back.
Yeah, a couple that I don't necessarily love, but like, that I would recommend. Don't have really super strong feelings on them, but I think people should listen to them. Are The Inalienable Dreamless by Discordance Axis. Another one of those where you kind of have to be okay with the style to really enjoy it, but I like it quite a bit. To be honest, it's a good gym album. And Ween's White Pepper was released this year. Not one of their best albums, but a good album nonetheless.
Fun. Like, they were definitely doing something different every album at this period. So, like, I don't hate that album.
Yeah, I think it's a good album, but it's not one. I wouldn't even put it in like their top, say, 6 of the main 9.
But I don't hate it. I feel like a lot of people hate the album, is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it really off. So, I mean, was it the one right after the Mollusk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? That's probably why. Because it's nowhere near as good as the Mollusk.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add re-recommendation, so I guess we can move on to 2010.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, I'll give a quick summary of what the charts were like at this point in time, so we can get the bad stuff out of the way first. It's a very weird year for music because it feels, at least from my memory, rock music wasn't quite as prevalent on the radio anymore, at least straight up rock music. And the charts kind of back this up. The most popular artist of the year, and this is a real throwback for anyone existing in 2020, was very brief viral breakout star Susan Boyle.
What?
She had the highest selling artist of 2010.
Okay. She got her own Futurama episode. It's like the worst Futurama episode.
I would have thought that it would have been Black Eyed Peas from that year.
I think they were 2009, if I remember correctly.
They were like
same era.
Years. They were every year for several years.
Yeah, they were. That was the I Got a Feeling era, which is just. Yeah.
They also had I'm a Bee and the one that ripped off the Dirty Dancing song.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember the title, but I know the song.
Yeah, it's one of the things I'd prefer not to remember.
Yeah, it was a very strange time because it's like the most popular artist in terms of sales were Eminem during the recovery era, Lady Gaga, Lady Antebellum, now Lady A in our 2020 world, kid named Justin Bieber, and Taylor Swift. The only true rock album among the best sellers this year was a John Mayer one, which I described off air as like coffee house music. And that doesn't feel like there's a real true worldwide rock star. So there was like a lot of weird pockets of stuff that kind of rose to the top. Owl City was the biggest selling band of this year because of Fireflies.
Yeah, this was one of the lesser times for pop music. Although the Lady Gaga era, that was the good Lady Gaga era. So that's
there were some good hits at this time.
There were some good. It's just a lot of the opposite.
Yes, there's a lot of bad, like truly wretched stuff out there.
Like electropop tropes were at their peak in 2010. There was a lot of, like I said, Black Eyed Peas and Owl City.
It was just lazy. Shit was real lazy.
Yeah. Was this the 2010? This was what was this? This is Katy Perry, E.T., right? So we're getting Alien Sex Kanye, right? This is that year.
Highlight of the year.
Highlight of the year, easily. Tell me what's next, Alien Sex.
First, I'm gonna disrobe you. Then I'm gonna probe you.
Just truly, they should have used it in Prometheus.
Like we've been saying, there's just a lot of truly awful music from this year. Like this is, for example, this is the Love the Way You Lie year. This is Teo Cruz Dynamite. This is B.O.B.'s Nothing on You, Bedrock. Jason Derulo, I remember being very big this year.
This is Bedrock? Oh, hell yeah.
Yes.
God damn it. God damn it.
Hey. Grocery bag.
Fuck you.
But now that I'm scanning the charts, my least favorite song among the top 20 here is Bruno Mars' Just the Way You Are. Anytime he goes into ballad mode is just like, I'd rather hear nothing.
Is that a cover song?
I think it's an original.
No, that Nothing on You is an original. That song is basically.
Oh, you said March Just the Way You Are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that song is basically the audio equivalent of Bad Soy Milk. It's just really, it's not good. It is not good, and I don't know. Like Bruno Mars had to find his.
He had to do the Childish Gambino thing and just steal somebody else's fucking sound.
Right.
To Mark Ronson steal somebody else's fucking sound entirely for him.
Right. And that was when he became like, acceptable, I guess. I don't know. That was the B.O.B. The era of pop rap in this era, which is not rock music, but just the era of pop rap around the late 2000s, culminating in like 09, 2010. It's just some of the worst shit. Like T.I.'s No Mercy, like you got
holy shit.
Yeah. Terrible record. Recovery, obviously, we know how bad that is. We know how bad The Adventures of Bobby Ray was. Like, just some really, really terrible shit populating the charts.
Yeah.
Airplanes, was Airplanes the year after, or was it this year?
I'm pretty sure it was this year. Let me double check. Yes, it was this year. It's actually a bigger seller than Nothing on You.
Remix. Eminem saved it.
Not the remix, I guess.
Right.
No, the original was always the bigger song, I believe. Because I used to hear that. I used to hear that all the time.
I'm just want to shit on the remix some more. Just like,
oh yeah,
to do the guy, like he didn't need to do it then. It was a huge song. Like there was no reason for him to do that stupid remix.
Terrible.
Yeah, and also we have to mention, because you brought it up on the top, this is the infamous, the unforgettable, the immortal Lil Wayne Rebirth year.
Yes. Now, the thing with Rebirth that you have to understand is this was a very anticipated album, How was Lil Wayne going to follow up his insane run from like 2004 to 2009? Like, how was he going to do it? He was coming off No Ceilings. He was still on top. He hadn't put out a project yet. And whatever he put out, it was going to sell a bunch. And, in the lead up to this album, there was a lot of press around it. And one Dr. Dre, one of the foremost legends of West Coast hip hop, had was very struck by the album. And there's a quote here that I'm going to read off of his opinion on it. And it reads as follows. It's almost like where Outkast were when they made Aquemini, Dre said. It's still a rap album, but it was really a rap album compared to all the other rap albums at the time. Or, excuse me, but was it really? Andre Benjamin was evolving artistically to where he's at now. Wayne's doing the same thing, and he's not afraid to show you his growth. So with this album, Lil Wayne was supposed to show us his growth, guys. And what did you think?
Well, I think that we're going to think that remember where you were when you listened to Aquemini for the first time, and now you're going to think about where you were when you listened to Rebirth for the first time.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. I remember Drop the World being a massive song, because it was like Lil Wayne and Eminem on a track, man. I'm hearing this at like, the lowest possible audio quality.
It makes it sound better.
God damn it.
Give me the Kevin Rudolph collabs. Where are the Kevin Rudolph collabs?
The new Aquemini. The new Aquemini.
God.
Golly.
I will say that quote that I pulled from Dr. Dre is a real quote in an interview. I believe it's at Rolling Stone. It's a review from RYM user Tom Credo. Tom Credo, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. So shout out to him, because that is a real quote. You could see it on the Rebirth page.
Yeah. This album was just the lead singles were dog shit. Like, and then Drop the World came out, and I convinced myself it was not so bad because of the Eminem part. In retrospect, the Eminem part's just as bad, if not worse, than the rest of it. Like,
yeah, but Eminem talked about sneaking up behind and butt fucking the game or something like that. What the fuck are you doing? Like, what?
Normal thought.
Normal thought, normal thought. But promise, guys, promise. Like,
very cool Eminem
very
verse.
Cool. Very cool.
Nicki on Knockout, one of the dumbest Nicki verses you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah.
There, he plagiarizes Good Charlotte and Weezer songs on here, by the way. Just, FYI.
Just putting that out there.
Gonna steal from the best. So.
Hey, Kevin Rudolph not only had a feature on here, but he produced tracks on here as well.
Oh yeah, this album sounds great, man. Mike Dean should have been on. Like, Mike Dean should take notes from this album. This is how album should sound. This is how Devil New Dress should have sounded. I
will say Justice League produced Knockout. Is that the worst Justice League thing?
Yes. Oh my God, yes. Like, not even. Dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's appalling. Yeah. This was a weird period for Wayne. I think he knew he was going to jail, and he just wanted to, he was acting out, and clearly other shit was going on with Birdman.
Yeah, it's I think it was a period where the drugs were definitely getting to him.
I don't really want to blame it entirely on the drugs. They didn't help, but nothing would help this album. This is an idea that rappers always have that almost never works. We just talked about Loud Rocks, and it worked twice on Loud Rocks, and there were 14 tracks on that album.
Yeah, it's
how rock sounds, and rockers don't know how rap music sounds. Why are y'all trying to get your peanut butter in my fucking codeine?
It sounds like a terrible combination. I was speaking of really terrible records, Weezer Death to False Metal came out this year.
God damn it! Fuck you, Rivers Cuomo.
Yeah.
Does this have Can't Stop Partying on it?
It does not. That was oh shit, what was that? What was that album?
Was that on the Hurley album?
Yeah, I want to say it was on Hurley. That was with fucking Chameleonaire, right? So Raditude.
Oh yeah, because that was the one with the really wacky shit on it for some reason.
Raditude is one of the worst albums of just not only the 2000s, just in general. Yeah.
You're like people who watch The Walking Dead. Why do you listen to new Weezer albums? What the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking through the Weezer, not the Weezer, the charts for 2010, the bad stuff, and I think most of it was the mainstream, rock stuff. I mean, apparently there was an album put out by Ryan Adams this year that wasn't good.
Oh, or Ryan.
Yeah.
That was. Thank you for trolling me, by the way. No. Orion was a concept metal album that he put out that was some dumb idea. It's power metal from the 80s. And it was a fan club only thing that he ended up just putting out on a label because he's an idiot. And it's not great. I don't know what you want me to say. He doesn't talk about harassing women on it. Maybe the monsters on the album are women.
Oh God! Apparently, Car Seat Headdress got his start got their start in 2010. So I haven't heard any of those records from that year. Anything before Twin Fantasy, I haven't heard, but that was the start from that. I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of stuff
up charts, and I'm seeing something should be on the bottom charts. Arcade Fire, The Suburbs.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
I made this joke.
There we go.
Bottom charts, and everybody ignored me, so I'm just gonna fucking make it again. Fuck.
This
album's trash. Everything Now is better.
Ooh, that
is spicy.
Wow, we've had some real spicy ones. I mean, I don't even love this album, but that's a spicy take.
I liked it a lot when it came out. I actually remember this pissing off many people on my Facebook timeline because it won Grammy for Album of the Year, and it was going up against Eminem's either Relapse or Recovery. And there are a lot of like angry people
I like that it pissed off
about it.
I like that it pissed off annoying people. That's good.
Yeah.
That is good.
I don't know. This shit's boring. It's pretentious. It's not catchy. His lyrics are like dumb English major crap. I like the song on the Everything Now that sounds like Simple Minds. This is Simple Minds. This guy's a simple English major. Shut the fuck up. No one cares. Quit crying. Sunset Rubdown does your shit a million times better. A million times. But nobody wants to listen to him because he's a Canadian who talks way too much.
Well, these guys aren't Canadian?
Yeah, but
it's just different Canada.
I'm saying like he's really, really Canadian.
Yeah.
Canadian.
Yeah, fake that's Canadian.
Trying to start like that's okay. So this is how the podcast is going to blow up. Charles Hamilton's going to retweet us. Juggalos are going to retweet us. Canadians are going to get mad about Arcade Fire versus Sunset Rub. Like we're going for really niche shit now.
It's funny. I don't ever. Maybe I look in 2010. I wasn't around the discourse. Did people think this was like an edgy album or something? Because it's not. It's very like sensitive and very like just straightforward. I think. I don't think it's like edgy. I don't think it's intended to be edgy. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know about edgy in the sense of like it being, I guess, experimental or outside the norm of what you would expect from, a Pitchfork approved indie band. But right. I think because it was so crisp and so it was for an indie album, it was pretty well made to be a big success because there's more attempts at pop songs on this than there usually were on, say, Neon Bible, especially, which I remember had a very big negative reaction at the time coming off of Funeral.
Well, engineered, and also, by the way, that was super calculated because that was the title of the guy who made Confederacy of Dunce's follow-up, right? The guy who wrote, remember?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm not. I am not. I would love to be following you, but now I'm not following you.
Okay. So the title of their sophomore follow-up, the title of the sophomore follow-up of somebody who wrote a book that, hang on. No, okay. Never mind, I got this backwards. It was weird. I think they were trying to make a weird reference because Neon Bible is the title of the book that a guy who wrote, maybe they just thought it sounded cool. I sound stupid. Go ahead.
I
thought I had something and I completely got the reference wrong. I looked it up. I was stupid. Just go ahead.
I was stupid. Just go ahead. Should be the intro for this episode. I think that would be great. That was a classic moment. I don't know. This is not my favorite of theirs. I like this album, but I think I like it less than when I was a lot younger. When I was young, when I was like in high school, I liked it a lot more than I do now. It's still got some good songs on it. Like I think "Wasted Hours" is probably one of the most underrated songs in their discography. I like the Suburbs, "Modern Man," like "Sprawl 2," which is definitely pretentious, but I don't care. There's some good songs on here. I don't think there's an Arcade Fire album that I love besides Funeral. So.
Yeah, I would say I think this is probably their third best behind both Funeral and Neon Bible. I really love Neon Bible, but Wasted Hours is very good. Month of May, Empty Room, Sprawl 2 is the obvious one that got a lot of run on college radio and whatnot, but they had a lot of good stuff on it. It's kind of more of it's an album where it's consistently good to me, but there's very few great songs. And I think that caused it to be a little overrated when it first came out. And now it's sort of course corrected over the last 10 years.
Yeah, I think now it's like properly rated. Like it's like rated. You know,
Yeah.
like people. Well, I think the
It has been
consensus
rated.
is it has been rated. Yes, I think the common like consensus was like, yeah, this was good, but it wasn't like anything like mind blowing or whatever. And that's
I will
kind
say
of
that they put on a good live show, though. I did see them on the what was that album, Reflector? I saw them on that tour, and it was a very fun time. They had Dan Deacon and some other guy open for him, and it was a very fun show.
interesting. I don't remember if in our live music episode if Travis said that he saw them, but
He probably did.
He probably did.
So
he's seen everybody. So yeah, I agree. Much like you, Will, I don't have too much to say about this. Like, I think it's good. I don't really listen to it. If I heard the songs, I'd be like, yeah, these are good songs. And I would think back to when the songs meant more to me than they do now. But I mean, you know, I do think there's a part of the album that gets at the suburban like living experience. Although I would argue that Funeral does that a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, all I gotta say.
List and the first out, like, I actually like the Deer Hunter album quite a bit, but I have nothing to say about it. First album I have anything to say about is Diamond Eyes by Deftones. So we're talking about another Deftones album. Have either of you guys heard it, or should we just move on?
I have never heard this album. I like the cover though, very pretty.
Yeah, I've heard it. It's a good album. It's not one of my favorites from there, so I haven't. I mean, which means that I haven't heard it in years. Like I went through the Discog and I was like, this is good, but if I'm reaching for Deftones, I reach for White Pony or the one with the girl on the cover around the fur.
Saturday. Yeah, this is really underrated. Diamond Eyes is one of their best songs. Beauty School is one of their best songs because the chorus is Chino yelling guns, razors, knives, fuck with me. But the song's called Beauty School, so he's like a beautician. Guns, razors, knives.
I mean that's definitely that definitely sounds like a precursor to XXXTentacion, early 2015 XXXTentacion music.
And yeah, Rocket Skate's another one of their best songs. This Place's Death is a great closer, and pretty sure the last song they did with Chai, R.I.P. Chai Chang. So that's what I have on that. Beyond, and then I go way far down, I guess.
I mean, we did.
Fuck Swans.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Out on the Swans.
Yeah, I agree.
I really like the Bong Ripper album, but all I have to say about that is smoke weed and listen to slow music. That's all I have to say. Like, there's no other nuanced discussion to have about that. Smoke weed and listen to really slow riffs. Now we're up to 73. Great radio. Patrick reading a list.
I mean, I think like two albums that are way too high on these charts that are very much mid are that Black Keys record that came out that year and the Titus Andronicus record that came out that year.
Yes, I agree with both.
Yeah.
Kyle Essa at 96. Kyle Essa is an excellent. They're like metal. They're not. I wouldn't consider them pop metal or anything. Their tags are stoner metal and sludge metal. They have a female vocalist. I guess if you can get into Death Haven, you could absolutely get into Kyle Essa. I don't know what their most recent is. They have Spiral Shadow at 96 on the 2010 charts, and their most recent is Exhausting Fire at 2015. They broke up in 2016. Sick album art. Yeah.
I think the Women album from that year is really good.
Yeah.
I think High on Fire put out an album this year that was really good. I don't know for that. But I don't know. I feel like it runs out I feel like both my listening habits and rock music in general I guess mainstream rock music ran out of gas in 2010. Like in niche, of course. Like, yeah, it's still out there. People are playing music, people are there to hear it, but like compared to 2000, like what there was out there.
Yeah, it was definitely different, just from a popularity perspective and from like a critical perspective. Although I do think 2010 had some gems, like the Deer Hunter record. I think it's a great record. I mean, I'm probably the only one here who likes this album, but I do think the Beach House record is really good.
Beach House record. I like every Beach House record. I like the newer stuff better than the older stuff, but I like every Beach House record.
Oh, I thought that you didn't like the older stuff. That's my bad. So
I like less, but I think that Depression Cherry is their best. But
hella spicy takes on this
Wow.
show today. Jeez, wow. That's a good album. I like that album, but I don't. That is crazy.
I think it's funny that this is the episode that all of a sudden you get like the super spicy takes because.
Well, originally our unreleased episode was a hot takes episode. So.
Oh yeah, now you're getting
the one where I couldn't produce any hot takes. They're all kind of mild.
We thought about Mazzy Star.
Yeah, that was the only
right.
one that got a rise out of anybody.
As soon as you brought up Mazzy Star, it was just like, fuck
It was
you.
on. It was on site.
It really was. It really was.
Divine is like the second best High on Fire album. Rosetta's alright. The Ocean's alright. U.S. Christmas are good.
The National album from this year is a little overrated, but it's a pretty good record. It's like a lot of their records. It's overstated, or excuse me, it's overrated by some people, but it's still pretty good music.
The problem is, I don't know what we're not getting on the RYM charts because it's so skewed by metal.
Yeah, you have to do the thing where you go in and subtract or exclude metal from the charts to kind of get a more, I guess, not necessarily more accurate, but a read that's more attuned to what you've actually heard.
Or what I care about. Like, I don't not care about metal, but I only care about the best metal. And then I would just look at, like, metal charts. Like, I don't metal is I don't know. I don't want to come across, like, genre biased, but that's also very low on my list of concerns in the world right now is coming across genre bias.
Being a genre elitist on RYM is not high up there. I think, like, in terms of the rock records from this year, I mean, I don't think the Beach House it's not a rock album. But
2010, our Boston. Why do I keep mixing shit up? Boston Spaceships. Our Cubehouse still rocks. This is Robert Pollard post Guided by Voices, but pre Guided by Voices.
Pre Second Wind Guided by Voices.
And it's amazing. Everything he did with this band is amazing. Great power pop, alt rock. If you liked Alien Lanes, Under the Bushes, Under the Stars, P1000, Guided by Voices, this is cleaner. It's really like I'm gonna rep for anything got Robert Pollard, but this isn't one of his fan service releases. This is one that's like really just catchy as fuck and highly recommended.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out because I fuck with Guided by Voices. I haven't heard the newer stuff though, which is their discog is very intimidating. So I have to.
Julie Christmas from Battle of Mice put out something called The Bad Wife, which I imagine involves a lot of screaming. Like, speaking of screaming, Julie Christmas screams like a motherfucker. Quite literally in her case.
What else came out? The first Tame Impala record came out this year, so that started. Yeah. That started.
Starting up me, Julie Christmas to talk about Tame Impala is making you part of the patriarchy.
It really is, but you know, at least I named a record that maybe some people who listen will care about.
No one cared about the Julie Christmas solo record. Sorry, Julie.
I don't know. I was looking at just the top albums. You're way far down on the charts than I am.
There was a Neil Young record that you're way further up than I am. There was a Neil Young record by Daniel Lanois, or the guy who produced some of the most listenable U2 stuff. It came out that year, and I've been way into Neil Young lately, so I want to listen to that soon. I haven't listened to it yet. Neil had the Homegrown come out, the one from 1975 that he suppressed for so long. There's a Buckethead album from this year that he produced, that he made as a elegy for Michael Jackson. That sounds really creepy. It's a really good album, though. It's instrumental guitar music. None of you are ever going to listen to it, but I want you to know that so.
An album that I like from this year is I haven't heard in a while, but the Radio Department album.
Yeah, that's got a really good first 4 or 5 songs on it. Heaven's on Fire is an immortal track.
Yeah, they're a good band. I haven't listened to their 2016 album, but they're a good band. I like that. I like them.
There's a lot of bands with albums from this year where I feel like there are probably about 10 of these really bands that I like that made good albums that I think I've given 4 stars to using RateYourMusic's rating scale. but no 4.5s or 5s. Like Deer Hunter's Halcyon Digest is in that category. The Radio Department album, the No Age album from that year is really good. You mentioned Women's Public Strain as well.
Yeah.
And Ariel Pink's Before Today, which kind of feels like a forgotten album at this point.
Yeah, that's a great album. I like that album. I think probably I think the Deer Hunter album is definitely up there on mine. I mean, I also have it at 4 stars. I think it's my favorite Deer Hunter album. Like it's the one that got me into them. So I think that's probably why. But
I think Helicopter is their best song, but I think Microcastle / Weird Era is their best album.
well, that's definitely a really good album.
Incredible song. Helicopter is probably their most emotionally affecting song to me.
And it manages to do that while being very immediate, which is tough. Like that song, Desire Lines, like Earthquake, those are definitely my favorite songs on the record. Really good album.
Guest, I would say, is that Bradford uses a lot less tricks and he hides behind a lot less reverb on that album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Compared to their earlier stuff, especially.
Yes, that would be
a lot more direct. It's a lot more clear. Like the album itself also is a lot more like it's brief compared to, especially like Microcastle. Then like the rollout for Microcastle / Weird Era was like very strange. Like it was kind of Kanye-esque. Then he came out with the second album, put it on the end of it. I've only ever, again, it's like a Carly Rae emotion situation. I've only ever heard it with the second album at the end. So I only know it as 2 albums together. Whereas then you look at Halcyon Digest, it's like, 11 tracks?
Yeah.
So it's a very brief statement. And I think it was probably his most like concise statement to this point.
Do we consider LCD Sound System's album rock?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it counts. I mean, to be honest, if we counted Kid A as rock, LCD Sound Systems, This Is Happening kind of has to at least be mentioned. And I think it's a pretty good album.
Yeah.
I don't really LCD Sound System at all. I don't listen to them.
I think some of their best songs are on this record.
Wait, isn't it one guy?
It's a band technically, but that one dude does run the whole show.
It is James Murphy's show, so I guess I'll just
I listened to Tom Sharpley interview. I mean, he never really talked about it like it was a band, so I was confused. I have nothing to say about it. I've never listened to them, not because the music doesn't really interest me. The fans seem kind of annoying, but I never picked it up, so I have nothing to say on it. You guys can talk.
I mean, I think Dance Yourself Clean is a great song. I think I remember like hearing that sudden beat switch or whether the beat comes in on that 3 minutes in and like it, meaning something to me a lot years and years ago when I heard it, probably when I was like 14. It's a good album. I like this album quite a bit. I haven't heard it in forever, but I Can Change is a really good song. Like I said, Dance Yourself Clean. I think Home's a really good song. I think Sound of Silver is a little better, and I can't say I listen to LCD Sound System these days, but at the same time, that doesn't mean the music is like diminished in quality. Like I think it's a good record.
Yeah, good album. Like you mentioned, Home is my personal favorite off of it. Just some good memories tied to it. I did find it kind of funny that they like made a big deal about breaking up, and then it's like 6 years later, here they are again.
Yeah. I mean, I
guess bands do that all the time, but
yeah, I don't know if they were like. I felt like they were probably pretty committed to breaking up, but who knows? Maybe James just got the itch again, and then there it was. Like he's back.
Hard to gauge people's emotions in the moment,
Yeah, I guess so. There was one album that was in the top 10 from this year that I wanted to mention because I very much listened to it recently again in prep for this episode, and that was the Brave Little Abacus record. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. And it's another case where I'm gonna be like, hey, this emo album is really good. Like it's an emo album. A little bit of post-hardcore in there. Really good album. But once again, you kind of have to be down with the vocals, which are a huge hit or miss for people. Like, some people think the vocal... Some people...
Sorry.
Yeah. Some people think the vocals are ass. Some people think they're great. I think they're good. I like the vocals. It's like... There's a Moo Kid review about it that I actually think is pretty spot on, where it's like there are two kinds of emo, and it's like there's emo that makes you even more sad when you're already sad, and then there's emo that gives you like hope when you're sad. And I think this is like the second type. And it's a really good album. I like it.
Well, Moo Kid was so Midwest that he named himself after a cow, so he should. If anybody should know anything about Midwest emo, it's him.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah, I will. I have not listened to them because their name is stupid. But I love guys with really horrible vocals, so I should really not judge other people for listening to bands with dumb names that might have really horrible vocals. So I'll listen to that. Yeah, I'm trying to think of, and ultimately, like I like to think about. Holy crap! Spoon's Transference is 312. I don't like it, but it's not 300.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid album.
I mean, it has one of my top 10 Spoon songs on it. Otherwise, I think it's low tier Spoon. Like, Got Nothing is top 10.
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard Transference in forever, so
is like that song gave me strength in a very dark period in my life, and I think generally, if you've heard Spoon and you hear Got Nothing, that's like the prototypical Spoon song almost.
Right.
And there's but it just. Like, they came at, like, let's see, Spoon. We need to do a Spoon episode, by the way.
I have very lukewarm takes on Spoon, though.
You're like lukewarm soup Spoon.
I guess. I am a lukewarm soup Spoon. I like Ga Ga Ga. I like that album.
They Want My Soul is a great album. Yeah, they came back with They Want My Soul. Yeah, I guess the thing about Spoon is there's not much interesting to say about them.
Honestly, like seriously, and I don't even mean that in like a negative way. Like I think most
pop songs, that's it.
Right. I think most of their albums are either decent or good. I don't have any like huge hot take about Spoon.
Right.
I think Brit's voice is like cool some of the time, and other times I don't want to hear it. So it just like depends.
I mean, most of the time I want to hear it. So that's my big hot take is I like to hear it more than you do. And I two albums where they made less great pop songs, but otherwise I'd just be saying, yeah, on that album they made a lot of great pop songs, and I like the way Brit uses words and sings. I'd say that over and over and over.
And then you'd be like 8 albums deep in their discography by then.
So yeah, there's really nothing. So yeah, we don't need to do a Spoon episode. So I apologize. Sorry for that detour. Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of stumbling to a close here on 2010. I guess rock kind of stumbled to a close in 2010. I don't know. Like, I guess I like to wrap it up on, final thought, Jerry Springer status. So 2020, who are the rock bands we look forward to? Like Hum put out some shit. Sorry.
I don't know how it's pronounced, so I just said whom or whatever. I don't know.
Anything's pronounced. Have you listened to the show?
Yeah. That makes 2 of us, so.
But Flaming Lips have something coming out in September that actually sounds like it's going to be pretty good. So,
I mean, there's been some good rock records this year. I mean, Fiona Apple, like that was. I mean, I don't know if it's rock, but that's rock adjacent at the very least. Like you said, the Whom or the Hume or whatever. The Strokes album this year was probably their second best album to me.
I mean, I would say it's the best. So, yeah, I think that's a wonderful record. Will, what do you got? Wolf Parade put out a great album, I thought.
I'll have to check in on them. I haven't checked in on Wolf Parade in a long time. I don't know as much about the 2020 side of this, to be honest, because I haven't really looked through what's getting released and what isn't. But as usual, I expect to hear Imagine Dragons on the radio every time I get into a car and start hurting internally.
Yes.
I am sure there will be another horrifying pop act that comes up, similar to a 5 Seconds of Summer style thing. And as usual, seemingly every 2 years, I expect to find another good Parquet Courts album in my inbox. So,
yeah, and I think in terms of good rock records, like the Jeff Rosenstock album this year was good. He's usually good. I think Proto Martyr is going to put out a good record. I hope anyway, because their last album was easily their best to me. So
I root for them because they seem like pretty likable dudes.
Yeah, they're pretty likable. I think their music used to just be like, this is inoffensive. Like to me, like I used to not really connect with it, but their last album I liked a lot and it holds up. People really like King Cruel. I like King Cruel, but I don't love his albums like people on RYM do. But I respect them because they're well made. They're good albums. Yeah, I'm trying to think of. I mean, I really like the Dogleg record this year. That's another emo album. The first track on that, the intro to that album is one of my favorite emo songs in recent years. So,
as long as there is terrible music being foisted on you by the radio, we are living off borrowed time. Will, thank you for joining us. Our intro music is the Borrowed Time instrumental by Dream Classic off Billy Wood's Today I Wrote Nothing, and our outro music is Stagnated Pace by Kick off Warp District Volume 1. We're living off borrowed time. See you next week.
It ain't gonna never stop. 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 It ain't gonna never stop.
Of all time will dawn upon